On this edition of The Fifth Estate,
a violent criminal network responsible for home invasions and robberies.
brazen attacks often in broad daylight. Many of the suspects are just kids.
We got very young persons committing very violent crimes.
Smash and grabs, they're on the rise, and videos like these have gone viral.
But who or what's behind it?
He was approached by somebody who told him that he wanted to see young teens make money and flourish.
They are walking, bags in their hands, and they know we're here.
We get extraordinary access inside a police takedown.
This is another potential break in the case.
He pointed the gun directly at her.
This trauma will stay with them forever.
But what's happening to these offenders once they're caught?
They can keep doing it and get away with it. What's to stop them?
We're strengthening the criminal code to get tough on bail.
We need to be invested in our youth's future.
Do you think the answer is to lock kids up?
For those that are committing absolute violent crime, they have to be held to account.
I'm Ioanna Roumeliotis. This is The Fifth Estate.
For a quick meet.
It's taken weeks to get to this moment. Officers with the York Regional Police Hold-Up Unit from north of Toronto are ready and moving in.
So we're going to load up into our vehicles, head to our location. Let's go.
So we're heading down to the east end of Toronto to execute a search warrant.
Detective Sergeant Ryan Boulay and his team are on their way to what they believe is a flophouse connected to a series of violent robberies. They don't know what they'll find.
We're here.
This access is rare. We usually report on police operations after they happen. This time, we're about to see one unfold.
The team just went into the building. They're likely at the door now, I would assume, and they're about to execute the warrant.
They're hoping this is a break in the case that will finally ease weeks of torment for victims.
The GoPro we don't need now, right?
Once on site, things move fast.
So the occupant in the residence is now under arrest. They've located jewelry within the unit. So.
Wow. You think jewelry connected to any of the robberies that you're investigating?
It potentially is. They would have.
We spent a week in July with the team. It's one of the police units at the epicenter of a shocking wave of smash and grabs in Ontario. On this day, officers found more than jewelry.
So we found one of our outstanding suspects. It was actually in the apartment. That was unanticipated, but obviously good for us. I found a balaclava, which these guys normally wear to cover their face and their head.
A mound of potential evidence that could unravel a dangerous criminal network.
Hammers that they obviously run into the store with, slash the displays with. This one's a replica, but obviously looks very real. Jewelry item here from People's Jewelry. Shattered glass, obviously, from display cases as well.
Thieves hit not one but two stores at a mall in Mississauga last night.
It's happening across the country, but the Greater Toronto area has been pummeled the hardest by a surge of these violent robberies.
Good evening. The police pursuit spilled out onto the streets in Markham.
Stunned shoppers watching as the dramatic scene unfolded.
Groups of young people brazenly smashing through glass, taking what they can grab as fast as they can, causing serious damage in only seconds, leaving jewelers on edge and preparing for the worst.
I was just working on my bench on a ring, and suddenly I noticed three guys just walked in, and as soon as I saw their face was mask and hoodie.
A year ago, three males stormed Jerry Serrani's Markham store with hammers and bags.
I just grabbed the broomstick I had here, grabbed it, just right away tried to chase them out. So turned around from here. The two guys in the back, as soon as they saw me going for them, they just run away. And one guy stayed in the back here. That's when I hit him. He turned around, I hit him, I got him in the face. And with that, he shook him up a little bit.
Serrani posted this viral video 3 months later after seeing this bold attack in the same mall.
The beginning was not my intention at all to release it. The only reason I did it because it was happening way too many times. and nobody was paying any attention.
The video and his broomstick got the attention he and his colleague Joe Kasap wanted.
I think it brought a lot of people to realize, oh, it's not just only one or two locations, it's happening almost everywhere.
It's been like, almost 3 years that it keeps going on like this. It's like, it's not stopping.
The overall crime rate across the country has been fairly stable for the last decade, but rates of violent crime have been inching up. Crime rate statistics for 2025 are not out yet, but we compiled data from police and news reports and found there have been at least 60 jewelry store robberies in Ontario just this year. In York Region alone, the number of jewelry store robberies doubled last year and is set to surpass that amount by the end of 2025.
Now we're expecting it, right? So we mentally prepared for it.
Prepared because suspects didn't target them once. A month later, it happened again.
Looked like same gang almost, young kids with masks, with hoodies and knapsacks and hammers. They just walked in again and we just replaced the glass and they tried to break it in again. I just said, okay, no, that's not gonna happen. Just interfered and chased them away.
He chased them away that time, but not for long.
And then it happened again after that, in June? Or there was another?
Yes, and then recently. That's when that made us to actually lock the door.
And then they still tried to come in?
Yes, unfortunately, a few months ago, 5 guys rushed in. Again, he was here at the time. And they shook the door and they could not go through. They just left, ran away.
It was the third attempt in a year. Beyond Surani and Kasap, few jewelers would agree to talk to us for this story, for fear of making themselves a target and spooking customers. In fact, the chains and malls with wide open storefronts are often a target, but they never got back to us.
You see the crime is getting bigger and bigger, getting more violent. So something has to happen, something has to change.
The smash and grab was like really starting to spike here in October, November, and December of 2024 and into January, February of 2025. I think it's starting to spread.
Scott Hayes is a former RCMP investigator. He works as a security advisor for Jewelers Vigilance Canada. The organization works to prevent crime in the industry.
So jewelry store robberies aren't new, but what I think is new in the last couple years is how violent and brazen it's becoming, the amount of people involved, and as the public reports are from the police, the amount of young offenders that are being corralled into committing this sort of crime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hayes says he's also seen the number of suspects working together going up.
I found that you'd start with 2 or 3 people going into a store, then 5, 6, 7, 8, then really swarms of people, for lack of a better term, swarming the place and then being out in maybe less than a minute, 90 seconds, very quick. And speed is your friend when you're a criminal.
What happens to the stolen goods?
I mean, there's a lot of people who collect gold, melt it down and sell it. That's not uncommon. The jewelry itself, though, it's going to get resold. It'll end up back in another ring, end up in a necklace, gets put into other jewelry, and then resold. So most of this jewelry ends up back on the legitimate market.
More and more cases, we're seeing that a lot of the offenders are young offenders, so they're...
We first met with Detective Sergeant Boulay 4 days before the takedown we showed you earlier. At this point, their only lead is a stolen Honda Accord.
We're trying to identify persons of interest, addresses of interest, unique pieces of clothing, anything that's going to help progress our investigation to solve any of the crimes that have happened up to today that we know of relating to that vehicle or that crew of suspects.
Police say the Honda they're watching has a stolen license plate that could be connected to a series of robberies.
And they're operating as a team out there to run physical surveillance on suspects and or a suspect vehicle.
Negative.
Is that your team?
Yep.
How long have they been watching?
This car was located this morning, and they've been out there ever since. We believe that the crew associated to this vehicle has been involved in at least 10 jewelry store robberies. as well as a couple of home invasions and multiple theft of license plate occurrences.
Are we almost there?
Yeah. We're just going to pull up to a parking lot here, and we're just going to meet one of the investigators that's been on the surveillance detail today. Right on.
This is Detective Kevin Smith.
Oh, yeah.
He's in charge of the surveillance team.
So we have the vehicle, the primary vehicle that we located this morning. So that vehicle was stolen out of another jurisdiction and then used in a series of crimes.
It's almost like a big spider web, and that's where our crime analyst comes and plays such an integral part of the investigation. They're in the background trying to piece together, you know, this car was related to this incident and this car was related to this incident.
Police say the robberies come in waves, and they're in the middle of one.
How often do these smash and grabs happen, on average?
I'd say recently, anywhere from 2 to 4 per week. That's just in York Region, and these crews are likely active outside of York Region.
It's a lot. It's certainly a lot more than I think we've seen over the last number of years.
The work can be tedious and time-consuming.
Someone else having their
Good to cut, or we put more time into this today? Good to go home.
It's time to head back to the station to figure out the next move.
Guys, this is the CBC team that's doing the documentary.
Hello. Hi.
So these are the investigators that were out set up on the road today doing the surveillance. So
To get to this point, we had to undergo background checks and agreed to not disclose some investigative techniques police use to track suspects.
So I think the big success from today was locating that vehicle.
And how critical is a car like that to the investigation?
I mean, right now it's basically the only lead that we have to go off of because we don't have any leads on the offenders at this point. So we're hoping that the car leads us to the offenders.
Coming up.
And then my little one said, they put a gun on our head. As a mom, I felt like my jaw fell to the floor.
We're back at York Police Headquarters in Aurora, 50 kilometers north of downtown Toronto. The Honda police have been watching hasn't budged.
Were you expecting anything to happen, or is that typical?
You know what? Last night was kind of a crapshoot. We didn't know if anything was going to go on, so the team were ready, and it was uneventful, so it was good. Everyone got some rest.
I guess that's the upside.
Yeah. You never really know what's going to happen, and it's just the teams are just ready to go. They're waiting by the phone, and we're just going to step into here.
Yep.
So the two teams are in here now.
The morning team is handing over to the afternoon team, and the investigation is getting wider. It turns out there are now 2 cars under surveillance.
So this is in relation to the Accord and Lexus and the retail series, including some home invasions that we'll get into as well. Biggest takeaway from yesterday was we did some video canvassing.
Yeah, and I think the video today would have linked the Toronto home invasion to ours once we took a look at the clothing.
Police say the Lexus was stolen during a home invasion linked to the jewelry store robberies.
This crew was last active on the 2nd of July when they're out in Halton region. They did a Michael Hill jewelry store, and they utilized the Lexus that's involved in this series.
Listening closely, crime analyst Jill Elliott.
So if you see the purple, those are all jewelry store robberies. All these purple ones have the black Honda Accord and all of it.
Elliott started looking at license plates involved in the series of crimes and made a breakthrough discovery.
What I've been noticing is that recently the plates have been, that they're attaching on, the bad guys are attaching onto it, are being stolen out of Toronto. And the plates that they're originally attached to are gray or black Honda Civics, because they've been changing up these plates every time a robbery has happened.
So they're putting a plate from a similar vehicle on the stolen vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Elliott's work helped police map out 11 jewelry store robberies in this series, spanning from the west in Stratford, north to Collingwood, and east to Oshawa, both in malls and street front shops.
How do you suspect that the same vehicle is being used in all these different crimes if the plates don't necessarily match?
The suspect car is parked right out front of the entrance of the jewelry store. So the car is left running with the driver, and there's great cameras in malls. So they get that plate, we run the plate, it's not supposed to be attached to this black conduit cord. Actually, we see a report that the homeowner said that they got their plate stolen 2 days prior to this incident. So my guess was, you know what? I bet they're gonna dump that plate and they're gonna steal another plate. And so then it kind of just exploded out of there. These guys kept using hammers to break into jewelry stores, and then it started linking, and I started seeing this clothing on home invasions.
Before long, police were able to link 3 home invasions to the series of robberies, 2 in Toronto, 1 in Markham.
It's becoming what Detective Sergeant Boulay said, it's a spider web. It's getting linked everywhere.
Taking down suspects of home invasions is a big part of the hold-up unit's work. And the crimes can be the most traumatic for victims.
Hello? There's people robbing our house right now. 3 people in the house. They have guns and they took the car keys. Please. Okay. Who else?
We were sleeping in bed here. My sister first heard the noise, and then she woke me up.
It's been a year since a family's worst nightmare came true. In Richmond Hill, north of Toronto, masked intruders tried to get in through the front door. When that didn't work, they used a rock to smash through the back.
At first, I thought it was my parents. They had come home from their night out, but I wasn't sure.
It felt like such a blur to me.
This family agreed to share their story, but asked us not to show their daughters' faces for their safety. The oldest is now 25. She called her parents. Her father, Chris, knew something was very wrong.
Around 1:30 in the night, we got a call from our older daughter, and the call came and then it got disconnected. And then we started calling them pretty frantically, trying to reach them. And then they were not picking up.
I didn't have enough time to get my glasses, so I couldn't see very well. And when we came here to look down, that's when they stormed up the stairs, and when they saw that I had the phone, they snatched it out of my hands. And then they started yelling at us and pointing guns at us, and then they hurted us both through here.
The intruders demanded the keys to the family's Lamborghini parked in the driveway.
They kept saying, where's the car? Where are the car keys? Give us the car keys. And I tapped one of them and I said, please, we don't have the car keys.
The youngest daughter is now just 14.
One of the guys, he ran into my parents' room and he started rummaging through our dresser and all the drawers. And then he found the key. I started screaming and crying. And then the third guy, he got really angry. So he took out his gun and he pointed it at me and was like, be quiet, shut up. And then they all started running down the steps. They took the car, they took the car. Okay. And how many people came in?
The way my sister was crying and screaming, that's something I can never forget. I don't think I can describe it in any way, how scared I felt, how terrified I was.
A police officer called their parents, who were already racing home. The whole ordeal lasted 15 minutes. Their mom, Lopa, says it still feels like a lifetime.
She was crying because that our car is gone. I said, that's okay, we can get another car. Don't worry about it. That's when she mentioned they had a gun on our head. I just didn't know how to react. I don't know how these 2 kids, they handled the whole thing.
It was probably one of the worst 15 minutes so far in my life and our life.
My family has completely changed within those 15 minutes. We are still struggling. This trauma will stay with them forever, and us as well.
So this is just a series of photos that our forensic officers captured when they were on the scene.
While their case is not connected to the jewelry store robberies we've been following, it does fall under York Police's holdup unit. Detective Smith responded to the call that night.
So you can see there's still a portion of the glass that's intact at the top.
The suspects thought they had gotten away, but what they didn't know is the family had hidden an AirTag in the SUV.
We were fortunately able to track the vehicle down. It was with a secondary vehicle that was involved in a home invasion in a different jurisdiction from a few days earlier.
Yeah, that's the rest. They were handcuffing them.
Krish followed police to the scene.
That must have been something for you to see, eh, Krish? What was going through your mind when you saw that?
Well, at least I see that they were able to catch them. They were able to find them and arrest them.
A 19-year-old man and a 16-year-old later pleaded guilty to armed robbery. The adult also pleaded guilty to use of an imitation firearm, but a third suspect got away.
Was the vehicle damaged?
It was, yeah.
Because the police kind of surrounded them during the arrest?
Correct, and there was an attempt to flee. Sure, they had a high-end vehicle, but they obtained that high-end vehicle by legitimate means through hard work. They should be able to enjoy that property without fear of people entering their house in the middle of the night and holding their family at gunpoint to obtain it.
Since then, the family has taken extreme precautions, installing panic buttons, a motion detecting system, and these.
These are aluminum shutters. This stays down. Nobody can break into my house anymore. Can you imagine, as a family, we keep all the doors and the windows shut all the time with the rollers. No lights. That's not how you're supposed to live. That's not how the kids are supposed to be brought up.
Like that makes me feel bad more than anything else, right? I mean, that's not what we came here for. That's not what we thought this country would be.
And it's a constant reminder to me that this happened.
Ahead.
You know, we've never seen the prevalence of young persons committing crimes at these levels, ever.
I think that my son heard the treasure that awaited him and kind of got baited with that.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Project Night Train is another takedown of a violent criminal network responsible for home invasions and robberies.
Over in neighboring Peel region, the alarming jump in jewelry store robberies and home invasions prompted police to create a task force called Project Night Train. Police announced the results of the crackdown this past July.
We have identified 13 individuals responsible for these crimes.
We met with Inspector Sean Brennan and the team behind Project Night Train in Mississauga. They gave us a behind-the-scenes breakdown of the investigation. Many of the suspects, they say, are just kids.
You know, we've never seen the prevalence of young persons committing crimes at these levels, ever. It's disturbing when, you know, we're talking a 3-year average here in central robbery for the region of Peel, and 40% of our offenders are young persons.
Escalation of violence is the worst we've seen in this office by far, and over property and stuff too. And you are scarring these people for life.
So 6 of the 13 arrested being young people. That's not just a problem that we're having case specific for us. It's kind of a trend region-wide, GTA-wide. Something we're trying to obviously get ahead of, figuring out the recruitment process.
What's emerging, police say, is minors being approached by adults.
Is there a master who's kind of controlling the show, or how is this happening?
It seems like there's a network on social media. It's usually young people at risk are met by somebody who's we would call the organizer. They get exchange phone numbers, they create these group chats, and when they're ready to go identify a target, they'll put it out on the group chat to who's up to doing them. They call it mission. They'll organize a spot to meet. So in essence, these people, the offenders getting together, may have never met each other before.
9?
I think there's 9 of them.
Breaking the glass in the middle of the day.
Yep.
Detective Justin Schonecker shows us one of the most dramatic robberies Project Night Train investigated. He says the lack of connection between suspects makes identifying them even more of a challenge, especially because they move so fast.
Now they're coming outside. As you can see, they're all holding bags, reusable shopping bags full of the stolen jewelry.
What do you think when you see them start smashing away at the display cases?
It's so disappointing. Like, it really is.
This woman says her 16-year-old son is accused of taking part in multiple smash and grabs.
I just don't think that he sees the severity of his charges.
She's speaking exclusively to the Fifth Estate. As a minor in custody, the law does not allow her son to be named, and we cannot show you who she is in order to protect his identity.
Do you have an idea of who was behind it?
The police told me that there was a group of adults that were recruiting them. I don't know where they're meeting them. I don't know, I don't know if they're, hanging out at spots teenagers do. Is it at the mall? I have no idea.
What were these adults telling him and his friends?
He said that he was approached by somebody who told him that he wanted to see young teens make money and flourish. And he was like, this guy just he wants to see us do better because, there's not a lot of options for us. I told him that it sounded very predatory. He was told that, they have insurance, right? So it's a victimless crime.
She says her son was promised money, at least $2,000, and told as a minor he would get off easy.
The messaging, I guess, that he was told was that if he's under 18, he's a young offender. And if you're a young offender, then it just goes away once you become an adult, so none of it matters.
Over in York Region, police are about to catch a break.
All right, you take care. Okay, bye-bye.
It's been a busy night here after news that Toronto police arrested 3 minors.
I believe they were arrested for a shoplifting incident in Toronto, and through that arrest, our investigators became engaged. There was information that led us to believe that those offenders were likely related to our robbery series that we've been investigating this week. Since then, one of the investigators typed through the evening and was able to get a search warrant granted through a justice of the peace. So that search warrant allows us to go to a residence. That residence is in Toronto, and we're going to execute the search warrant.
3 suspects come up with hammers.
Wow. To help make the case for that search warrant, Detective Constable Matt Milroy says he pored over security camera footage, tying the suspects to one of the stolen vehicles police had been watching. They parked it near an apartment building in Toronto.
From that video, we observed our suspects getting into a taxi. We were able to identify the taxi company, and then through the taxi company, found the trip records of where those suspects were driven to, which was an address in Toronto. So then we go to get video from that apartment building. So the video here is the taxi arriving with our suspects.
That's them exiting?
That's them exiting, and then they're going to enter the building.
What do you expect to find or hope to find?
So we're hoping to find evidence of the offense. So we're looking for clothing, any types of weapons, tools that may have used in the robberies, items that may have been taken during the robberies.
Moments after officers arrived on the scene, another unexpected lead. We were told to hang back until they got inside.
So this is the unit here that the investigators are in. The door's just cracked open. It sounds like they're explaining a few things to the occupant that's inside. I've been told that there's one male adult inside and he's currently under arrest. Okay. So the officers are going to be removing the individual from the residence. He's under arrest right now for possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000. They've seized a significant amount of jewelry within the residence. Have they come out yet? Yeah. Oh. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, he's in that car there. So, yeah.
How big of a deal is it that you not only found stolen merchandise, but yet another suspect?
I mean, in this case, I think it's a great lead for our case. Not in every case do you recover amounts of stolen property. In this case, it certainly seems to be telling us that the property was destined for this location. Where it was going to go from here, I don't know, but it's certainly giving us that in-between point that's we're always looking for.
In that cruiser, a 19-year-old who now faces several charges related to a home invasion, possession of stolen vehicles, and a jewelry store robbery.
And in this case, because he's it seems right now to be the only adult, do you think he might be playing a more senior role in any of these crimes?
He certainly could be, and those are all angles that we'll be looking for as the investigation again unfolds. By no means is the investigation completed here today. Is there other people out there that we don't know of?
So potentially your spider web might only get bigger.
It certainly can, yes.
There's a lot of emotion.
This mother says she never expected her teenager would be facing robbery charges.
I think that my son heard, the treasure that awaited him and kind of got baited with that.
What was the appeal, you think?
Money, freedom. They're going to be able to impress people and they're going to be able to wear certain clothes.
People will say, where are their parents?
They're watching horrifically from the sidelines. I think most parents want the best for their children, and I don't think the best involves any of this. As a parent, you're worried about them being bullied at school, and you're maybe worried about them doing drugs. You're typically not preparing yourself for them to be accused of a string of smash and grabs, right?
We have a series of display boxes from a jewelry store, and we also have broken glass in the bottom of the bag. So that's a pretty telling piece of evidence for us.
Back at York Police Headquarters, today's operation led to a surprise arrest and a trove of potential evidence that seems to tie back to those stolen cars police had been watching.
So here you can see glove marks.
And while this investigation moves forward, a bigger, disturbing pattern is also emerging. Young suspects out on bail, reoffending.
We're seeing the same players again and again and again, and you're seeing people re-victimized or new victims, and that part's hard to watch. And we're doing everything we can to lock them up, but they're right back out again.
In Peel alone, 42% of the youths charged by the Central Robbery Bureau were breaching prior release conditions.
If you look at the numbers don't lie. We're not, the deterrent isn't there. So the messaging isn't there, and these repeat offenders and this cycle of violence that's occurring, it has to stop.
There's a lot of people who are talking tough on bail reform, but do you think the answer is to lock kids up?
Excellent question. In a tough answer. When you look at the crime and the severity of the crime and the impact to the community, and there should be a deterrent for violent crime. So we need to absolutely look at how do we get ahead of that with those community supports. But for those that are committing absolute violent crime, they have to be held to account.
Coming up.
When you're directly investing in youth, you are preventing crime.
Back at Jewelry Forever, after 3 attempted smash and grabs, Jerry Serrani and Joe Kassap are always on high alert.
You're always looking over your shoulder, per se, to do the business that you used to be doing it comfortably. Now it's not comfortable anymore.
We have all loyal customers, which always, coming back. Yeah. But definitely it affects the foot traffic.
Yeah.
Definitely it took that away. If somebody comes in with the hoodie, sunglasses, you're not coming in. At least you have a little power because you have the doors locked. If I have, let's say, 6, 7 young guys want to come in at the same time, unfortunately, you're not going to come in.
That's probably one of the biggest things you can do to prevent these from happening in the first place, is being able to control entry. Look at your exterior, understand how they can get in, and either mitigate for your windows and your doors. I think having something to protect your front glass windows is a great idea, whether you're using film, laminate glass, or polycarbonate. And then inside, you want to look at some sort of security glass on your display cases if possible, or limit the amount of jewelry that you actually leave out. So if you are victimized, there's less that they're able to take.
We were wondering if we could get a battery replacement.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Surani and Kasab say they have been at this location for 17 years. They've never had to be this careful, and they're not sure how much longer they can stay in business.
Okay, pleasure to meet you again.
The insurance just keeps going to go up and up. And for me to pay $5,000 a month, now because if you have incidents, it's going to be $10,000 a month. Third incident happens, fourth incident happens, insurance companies say, sorry, I cannot even insure you anymore. So, when that happened, how am I going to run my business?
In fact, remember that third robbery attempt on their store? It's part of that sprawling series of violent crimes we tracked with York Police.
And how do you feel that the June attack was connected to a string of other incidents?
There is no consequences, right? When there's no punishment.
The laws has to change for this to kind of come to a stop.
What we need to do is scrap liberal bail.
There's something broken when there is a revolving door in our justice system, particularly around bail.
If people that are committing crimes are seeing a justice system that's not holding them accountable, that creates opportunity for more crime.
Rising calls led the federal government to announce a sweeping bail reform bill this fall. It would toughen sentencing and make bail harder to get, especially for violent and repeat offenders. And now they would have to prove to the court why they should be granted bail, instead of the onus being on the Crown to prove why they shouldn't.
We're making bail stricter to keep you safer.
You're focusing on the wrong thing. We need to be investing in our youth and investing in our youth's future.
Carla Bailey is the executive director of My Neighborhood Services, which runs out of this community hub in Mississauga. It has given thousands of young people a place to go and always something to eat.
We ensure that food is in every single one of our youth programs.
And are you hearing that people might be making those decisions because they need money for food? What are you hearing?
There's a lot of different things. There's the food, the social media, what's going on. There is the wanting to fit in. There's the friends. There's the siblings. You can't just put one thing and say, this is what's causing it, right?
What's the most common crime committed by youth in Canada? Okay.
Yeah, so it's theft under 5,000. That's the most common crime.
Again, there's no judgment in this room, but we also have to respect everyone.
Prevention is the goal behind many of their programs here, and they start early, as young as middle school.
We have mental health programs that will say, okay, what is it that we can help you with that supports this need? How can we help you to do better?
Still, there are gaps, and she's trying to close them. Bailey's organization also helps young offenders get back on track.
When we look at our Youth Justice Reintegration Program, that program, it is supposed to serve 60 youth. Last year, it served 220 youth.
What does that tell you?
We all know prevention is so much better than cure, but we get to reintegrate them into society, give them the tools to succeed, to not reoffend.
Have you guys been as busy since we left?
It has been, yes. It hasn't really slowed at all.
A few months after we first met with York Police, we went back to speak to the head of its holdup unit, Detective Sergeant Ryan Boulay.
We've had an uptick in home invasions this year.
Okay.
We're also trending up in our jewelry store robberies.
He told us the unit has added 4 new officers to investigate yet another spike in violent robberies.
I'll tell you that in 2023 to 2024, we've seen our jewelry store robberies increase roughly 133%. And in 2025, we're trending upwards of that number that we've seen last year is kind of our 5-year high.
What do you make of that?
I mean, it's disturbing that it seems every time we make an arrest or an occurrence happens, another one seems to follow it. And that's not just, strictly to York region. We're seeing that across the Greater Toronto area.
And getting to the people calling the shots is still a challenge.
In a lot of cases, they're not willing to provide, if you want to call it statements as to who had sent them there, who orchestrated it. And I'd imagine a lot of time that's fear of retaliation, right? You speak to the police, you're known as a rat, and you're going to essentially, you may not be in that good of a place when you get released from custody.
How worried are you if there is no intervention?
Certainly, if there's no intervention, I would be willing to bet that there's really no positive outlook that's going to come for adulthood with those offenders. At the end of the day, we as the police, we get it. We need help as well to combat these types of crimes, especially when we're seeing such young offenders.
The home invasion case we told you about ended with convictions, including one for a young offender. But that night still haunts the family.
It just felt very violating because it happened in our own house. Like at night when I go to sleep, I can't close my eyes. I feel like if I close them, and then I feel like they're standing right there at the doorway because that's when they stormed up, and that's when we first saw them.
You didn't get a chance to talk to them, but if you did, what would you say to them?
So I wanted to ask why you did this, what motivated you, and then see what you have done. Do you think you're proud of what you have done? How far can they go doing this? This cannot take you far.
Constantly wonder if it's the right decision for him, if it's the right decision for the rest of my family.
This mother is afraid for her son's safety and his future, and it forced her to make a tough choice.
Where is your son right now?
He's in the detention center.
And why is he still in the detention center?
Because I am not bailing him out. I don't think that bailing him out is what is going to support him. He would learn outside with the same group of people that he got arrested with. I think overall, unfortunately, he is safer there.
Is that your hope, that it will deter, that bail reform will deter?
I do hope bail reform helps, because until there's somebody able to kind of push back, I think, at the people telling them, you'll get money, but go and do this for me, because if I do it, I get 15 years. If you do it, you get to go home to your mom. I don't think the adults are going to stop using kids, It's also really pathetic to use a child for financial gain. It's pretty sickening.